General has determined that this is one of his goals. The month of February, the UK government is chairing the Security Council, and climate is one of the issues that they have on their agenda. And I will tell you that the President and Secretary Kerry intend to host a climate conference probably as soon as April. So this will be something that we will focus on at the United Nations, but it's also something we will focus around the globe on.
Thank you, Thank you, Senator Merkley.
Are we out of time?
We are.
Thank you very much, Ambassador.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Merkley. Senator Booker, thank you for your usual patience. The floor is yours.
I appreciate that, Chairman, and so good to see you here today. I watched the whole hearing on my television in my office and was really appreciative with generous spirit on both sides of the aisle and the substance of the question. I did hear one colleague, though, refer to Biden administration's nominees as embracing China. I think that was the exact wording. And I found that just patently unfair and untrue. And then I heard one speech being taken in a way that was patently offensive to me at a moment that we just had a siege on the Capitol. And I would actually say one speech that you had already thoroughly explained to numerous members. And the generosity of some of my friends on the other side of the aisle was pointed very clearly. You were invited to give a speech by an HBCU. Now, some of my colleagues might not know this. I have buckets of invitations of speeches where I get speech invitations that I prioritize. If you're a New Jersey university, you got me. If you are one of my alma maters, you got me. But when I get a call from an HBCU, I would imagine to the nominee, you know the sacred importance of HBCUs. You know that they are the #1 producer in America of black generals, #1 producer in America of black doctors, #1 producer in America of black professors, PhDs, and so forth. In fact, if there is a hope for this country ever to reach equality in all the ranks of all the professions, would you agree with me that the HBCUs are still that hope?
Without a doubt, Senator. Thank you very much.
Yes, and as a person who has 2 generations before me going to HBCUs, the fact that you accepted an invitation from a black college to give a speech, to me, shows that you have the right priority list, because I will tell you this. Our State Department ranks are woefully lacking in African Americans. When I travel the globe and visit embassies, they are woefully lacking. We are now at a period where we've had a black vice president, first woman as well, first woman treasurer. You are one of the generations of women that are breaking down barriers and showing the way for women and African Americans. I imagine your commitment to continue to do that is the same, yes?
Absolutely.
Now, the other thing that just galled me a little bit, it was the fact that Senator Menendez, my senior senator, who is friend and mentor to me, read a whole list through your research, Senator Menendez, of examples for, I think, 10 to 20 years of you being a canary in the coal mine, making warnings about China's activities in Africa. And so to the Senator Menendez, who I rarely ever tell him what to do, so I'll ask him, could you introduce that litany into the record in a formal way so that it is there forever?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you very much. So I just want you to know I am celebrating that you are sitting before me right now, because I know the challenges we still have in this country. And I watched after George Floyd was savagely murdered, how it wasn't just all 50 states of America that came out and protested, but we saw other nations, right? At least a dozen other countries, because they know that the United States of America, if we can make our values true here, there's hope for the world. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
So I have 30 seconds left, and I apologize for using all my time, but I just want you to know, for my ancestors, for communities of color all around the world who wonder if this nation will ever achieve itself, will ever get to a point where we can be a country where we celebrate the richness of our diversity, not just in words, but in positions of leadership where we achieve our potential, as past generations saw when they brought hidden figures out of the shadows and sat them together with NASA astronauts and literally defied gravity. That you today, sitting in that seat, are a reason to rejoice. And your record is unapproachable in your patriotism to this country under Democratic and Republican administrations. I thank you, I celebrate you, and I will submit my questions for the record in hopes that you will give me that response. I yield to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Senator.
Senator.
Senator Menendez.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm always loath to go after my junior senator because his oratory flies high and has great substance to it, and I echo everything he had to say. I just want to very briefly, Ambassador, after 46 years of public service, I've seen how people can read into whatever they want to read into. But I look at that same speech that has been questioned by our colleague, particularly Senator Cruz, in a way that suggests that it's nefarious. It seems to me when you were saying in that speech about a win-win situation, you were playing a little jujitsu, challenging China to promote values such as good governance, gender equity, and the rule of law. Am I confused?
No, sir. That's exactly that was exactly my intention.
And it seemed to me a challenge to them when you say, well, why can't China share in those values? That's a challenge to China. And when you criticize Chinese predatory lending, which you have for years, but you also rang the alarm bell. If we do not show up, as predatory as their lending may be, and you are in dire need, guess what will happen? And so it's a wake-up call. You've been sounding the alarm for, and this particular element, for over a decade, saying, hey, we don't show up, the rest of the world doesn't show up, China shows up, guess what's going to happen? Is that a fair statement?
That is, sir.
And so finally, when you were the Director General, I was the chairman at the time, did it not press you very hard for diversity in the State Department?
I still have bruises, sir. You did press me hard, and I took you seriously, and it is still a commitment that I have, even though I left the Director General's job.
And I would hope you would show that diversity at the UN upon confirmation. But that was the main reason you went to Savannah State University, for which you had a relationship, right?
Yes.
And it was Savannah State University that invited you to speak, is it not the case?
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, it was Savannah State University that provided you the small honorarium, is it not the case?
Yes, sir.
And it is not true that Savannah State University closed its Confucius Institute last year?
It did.
I think that's a great record. Let me ask, Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to enter enormous numbers of letters of support for the nominee into the hearing record, and due to COVID precautions, we will email the letters to the committee's clerk.
They will be entered.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Menendez. Well, thank you so much for your patience being with us today. We certainly been an interesting hearing, and look forward to working with you over the years to come. And again, thank you for your willingness to serve and your family's willingness to sacrifice with you. Before closing, I'd like to ask unanimous consent that all responses to my pre-hearing questions be added to the record. For the information of members, the record will remain open until the close of business tomorrow, Thursday, January 28th at 5 p.m., including for members to submit questions for the record. We'd strongly urge you to respond to those as rapidly as you can, Madam Ambassador. And with that, committee is adjourned.